My best friend Bill Jackson and I went to a golf tournament near Bloomsburg. There, we participated in a fundraiser for his alma mater's basketball team. We were met by two of his old fraternity buddies, and we managed to get through 18 holes, finishing 3 strokes under par. That was enough to take third place in the third tournament. I never understood how the scoring worked in these tournaments, but I knew enough to realize that we had done well among mediocrities. It was like coming in third in the dumbest class in school, except that we got a few packs of golf balls for our efforts. Bill and I were sipping a couple of beers before heading home when we struck up a conversation with 2 guys from Harrisburg. We discussed important topics, such as baseball and football, and then talked about what we did for a living. Both Bill and I were surprised to learn that one of the guys, Jack Andrews, was the executive director of Wegmans. Our wives worked for the company, but at the Scranton branch. Jack worked in Mechanicsburg. "You're both from northeastern Pennsylvania from Scranton, aren't you?" Jack asked. "A few weeks ago, I attended a company meeting in Syracuse and ran into a blonde bombshell from the Scranton branch. She was built like a brick outhouse." Bill looked at me and smiled. We both realized that he must have run into Bill's wife, Gwen, and she had made an impression on him. But that was true of every man who ever saw her. "Gwen is gorgeous." Bill turned to Jack. I was almost certain he was going to mention that Jack must have his eye on his wife before Jack said something inappropriate about Gwen. But it was too late. "She could suck the chrome off a bumper," Jack sneered. "Her breasts were really big and sensitive. I must have spent an hour just playing with her. I can't wait for our fall reunion in Harrisburg. She'll be there for 3 whole days." I was afraid Bill was going to smash this asshole's head in with a beer bottle, so I put my hand on his shoulder. I couldn't blame him for it, but as his friend, I had a responsibility to try to keep him out of jail. I felt Bill relax a little. "You're talking about a real whore, Jack. Did you happen to hear what that little slut's name was?" Bill asked quietly. "Did you hear her name? Damn, we all had to wear those stupid name tags all day. I remember her name very well because she stuck the sticker on her blouse right above her left breast," Jack continued. "I spent a lot of time looking at her badge during the meetings, and if I hadn't sat next to her, I probably would have slept through most of the day as usual. I'm going there for a chance to have some fun. That's why I go to these meetings, and management insists that I attend them to keep my job." "We have to go, Bill," I hurried my friend, hoping to get the hell out of there before things got even worse, if that was possible. "Does anyone here know Gwen Adams?" Jack asked, putting an end to my dreams of an uneventful escape. "That was her name. If you ever met her, you'd never forget her. If you ever get a chance to sleep with that bitch, do it." 2 minutes later, we were sitting in Bill's Toyota Corolla, heading east. For the first few minutes, I watched him drive carefully, afraid of getting into an accident. Bill seemed to be driving pretty well, although a little fast. Although, if I were in his place, I would probably have floored it, hoping to get as far away as possible before Jack came to. There was blood on Bill's knuckles, but not too much, considering the impression they had made on Jack's mouth. It was surprising that he hadn't broken his hand or cut his fingers to the bone on that asshole's teeth. I remembered seeing a tooth lying on the bar when I pulled Jack away from the sprawled body of that dumb bastard. I couldn't help but admire Bill's confidence, remembering the argument in the bar a few minutes earlier. Bill calmly told Jack that he must have confused this blonde with his mother. He even told Jack that he was a weak-minded bastard and that he was lying about Gwen. Naturally, Jack felt the need to defend his honor and punched Bill right in the chin. In his youth, this was one of Bill's favorite pastimes. Several times I saw him almost drooling until some guy beat him up first. Then Bill would grin and clean up his offender's face. Bill was the youngest of 4 sons and grew up fighting constantly. He had a jaw of steel and a crushing right uppercut, which Jack learned the hard way. It was nice to see that Bill was still in good shape, even after nearly 20 years of marriage. It took Bill just 1 punch to end the fight. I could see that Bill wasn't in the mood to talk, so I kept my mouth shut and watched the scene, thinking about the situation. We introduced ourselves as Tom Casey and Bill Kuntz. Jack even made the standard joke about Bill's last name, and we laughed politely as if we had never heard it before. Gwen had been working at Wegmans for a year when she met Bill. When they got married, Gwen told Bill she would keep her maiden name for work. She told Bill it would be easier than changing all her information in the system, and she wouldn't have to listen to a lot of tasteless jokes about her last name and anatomy. At work, she was still called Gwen Adams. Gwen was a walking wet dream. She and Bill had been married for 19 years, had 2 children, and she still turned heads wherever she went. She was blonde, long-legged, and as Jack had already mentioned, had large breasts. Bill and I had been friends since school. That fact, along with my wife explaining to me in great detail how she would tear my manhood off with her bare hands if I ever strayed from the path of righteousness, kept me from trying to do anything more than admire Gwen. I never thought she would cheat on Bill. Obviously, it came as a complete surprise to him as well. Gwen and Bill introduced me to my future wife, Teresa, at their wedding. At the time, Teresa had just started working at Wegmans with Gwen. From the start, we seemed to get along well. The next year, Teresa and I got married. Now we had a son in 8th grade and a daughter in her 2nd year of high school. Teresa was pretty and had a nice figure, but Gwen was the one men lusted after. I tried to put myself in Bill's shoes to imagine how he felt. For some reason, I thought that knowing this would help ease his burden a little. He must have been suffering, and I didn't know how to react. I liked both Gwen and Bill, and I wanted them to be happy in their marriage, partly out of selfish reasons. We had done a lot together, and Gwen and Teresa had become closer over the years. I was very happy with the status quo and didn't want it to change. They were my best friends, and I always wanted them to be happy. It sucked. I knew I would be furious if Teresa betrayed me. I never gave in to the temptations that came my way from time to time. Teresa often told me how bad my life would be if I ever gave in. I never thought any woman was worth risking losing Teresa. I was sure she felt the same way. We didn't have hot monkey sex every night, but we still enjoyed our love. Bill was just paying for having such a desirable wife. I knew that men were constantly hitting on Gwen. I saw plenty of examples of this, sometimes even when she was standing right next to Bill. Maybe it's a good thing that my Teresa's legs aren't as long as Gwen's, and that her breasts aren't as big, and her face isn't as young and striking. Teresa was my wife and the mother of our 2 children, and she looked just right. I would never suffer the pain Bill was feeling now as he drove us home. Home? Shit. What would he do when he got home? Should I go straight home and let him and Gwen sort things out? What if he was angry enough to hit Gwen? Should I stay to keep some semblance of order? Did I want to hear what would be said? Did I want to watch the possible demise of their marriage? Was it really that bad? I realized it would be a good idea to find out what Bill was thinking. I needed to talk to him. "Bill, talk to me, buddy," I began. "What are you thinking, and how are you going to behave toward Gwen when you get home? You know I couldn't let you do what you did to that jerk at the golf club. I need to know you can control your emotions." "I couldn't hit Gwen if she cut my heart out with a garden tool," Bill replied grimly, "although I feel like that's exactly what she did. I've thought it over and decided to pack some things and stay in a motel for a few days. I don't know if I can get through this, Tom. This is very important. I had no idea she could do something like this to me and to us. I've never cheated on her, and until today, I would have bet my life that she would never cheat on me. God, it hurts so much." "Can you forgive her somehow, Bill? I have no doubt that she loves you to death. Leaving will crush her, Bill, even if she did it. You know how guys always stick to her. That's one of the problems with marrying the most beautiful woman in this damn county." "Then how do you put up with it, Tom? How did you make Teresa happy and faithful? How do you keep those damn hounds away from her? She's stunningly beautiful, and you two seem to have it all, at least for now," Bill added. "Well, you have to admit that Teresa doesn't attract men the way Gwen does," I remarked. She's fine, of course, but she's not a walking wet dream like your wife. She just doesn't get hit on as often as Gwen does." "What the hell are you talking about?" Bill asked, looking at me as if I had two heads. "Teresa is a hot piece of ass. Any normal man would give his right arm to be in her bed. She has an incredible smile and seems to exude sex appeal. Even Gwen looks pretty pale next to Teresa." "Are you crazy? Gwen looks like a goddess. She's always so athletic and tanned, except for her unusually large breasts. Gwen is a real beauty," I said almost reverently. I suddenly realized that I hated this asshole Jack almost as much as I hated Bill. Maybe that's why I accidentally stepped on his crotch when I pulled Bill away from his sprawled body. "You must be blind or something, Tom. Teresa is incredible in every way. Gwen looks pretty good. I'll admit that, but you won the lottery when you picked up Teresa," Bill insisted. "And besides, she's not a damn cheater, and that's a real plus in my book." We fell silent again, pondering what we had just revealed to each other. Bill thought Teresa was prettier than Gwen. I struggled with that thought. Gwen was stunningly beautiful. I never thought Bill felt that way about my wife. But then again, I never told him how hot I thought Gwen was. We were still silent when Bill turned into his neighborhood. We both felt the tension and showed all the signs of it. Of course, Bill looked worse than I did, but my stomach was also in knots. I was afraid of the next few minutes. As we pulled into the driveway, we immediately noticed several cars. I had left mine there early in the morning when I left with Bill. Behind my car was a dark burgundy 1967 Pontiac Le Mans with a black convertible top. And behind that was my wife's car. "What the hell, Bill? Isn't that the 3-speed Pontiac you used to have? Who the hell does this beauty belong to?" I asked, getting out of the passenger door before Bill had completely stopped the car. "Probably some son of a bitch who's been messing around with Gwen while I'm out," Bill replied angrily, staring at the convertible. At that moment, the front door swung open, and Gwen and Teresa ran down the driveway with smiles as wide as the Pontiac's grill. Seeing Gwen, I returned to my business. She had no idea what trouble she was in. As soon as I thought about it, my attention shifted to Teresa, who was happily walking toward me. I took a good look at her and studied her features and figure. She really did look very good. Maybe Bill was right. She was in her early 40s, she had given me 2 children, and I realized that she was very, very beautiful. How could I have thought that Gwen was more attractive? When Teresa closed the distance between us, I had the urge to pull her into the back seat of that damn convertible and use it for its intended purpose. I pulled Teresa close to me while Gwen said hello to Bill. "Happy birthday, Bill," Gwen cooed, hugging Bill around the neck. "I've been looking for this car for your birthday, dear. I found it in Monticello a few weeks ago." When Gwen saw Bill's sour face and his frozen posture, she added, "You don't seem very happy about it, Bill." "You found it a few weeks ago?" "How many weeks ago, Gwen? Was that before or after that Friday and Saturday you spent in Syracuse at your damn job?" Bill asked. "Why are you acting like this, Bill?" Gwen asked. "It was that weekend. I want to tell you something. I didn't go to Syracuse. I went to Monticello to look at that car." Bill turned and looked at me. I couldn't help him, because I was just as confused as he was. What the hell was that jerk Jack talking about if Gwen wasn't even in Syracuse that weekend? It didn't make any sense. He described Gwen perfectly. "I had to mislead you so you wouldn't suspect anything, Bill," Gwen laughed. "I booked the ticket for this trip, but I never intended to go. I asked Teresa to take my place." I told her to tell Tom she was going to visit her sister in Allentown that weekend. I figured she could use my room and eat and drink on Wegmans' tab. All she had to do was wear my badge and pretend to be Gwen Adams. It was no big deal just asking a friend to help me give my wonderful husband a special surprise on his birthday. "You've never been to Syracuse?" Bill shouted, hugging Gwen and lifting her into the air. "God, I love you, Gwen. You're the best wife in the world. So it wasn't you, it was Teresa? Shit." I felt like I had been hit in the stomach with a sledgehammer. I broke out in a cold sweat and my whole body began to shake. I let go of Teresa and stumbled toward my car. Tears streamed down my cheeks. "Tom," Teresa called after me. "What happened? Why are you leaving? What the hell is going on?" I ignored her. As soon as I went to open the door of my car, my stomach decided to send my dinner flying. I fell to my knees and let it fly over Bill's well-manicured yard. Teresa was right there beside me, patting my shoulders and asking what was wrong. "I think I can fill you in, Teresa," Bill said gently. "Everything's out in the open now. Today at the golf tournament, we ran into Jack Andrews. He told us he works at Wegmans, that he attended a company meeting in Syracuse, and that he slept with a blonde bombshell with a name tag that said Gwen Adams. I left the bastard lying on the floor next to the bar. Tom even kicked him when he pulled me away from the jerk so I wouldn't kill him. All the way home, we thought it was Gwen who slept with that poor bastard, but it turns out that's not the case. It was you, Teresa, and I have to tell you that I'm disappointed in you, but Tom is devastated. Now you know, and I don't envy you one bit," Bill concluded. "Did you think that guy was talking about me, Bill? Did you think I was cheating on you? I have to get that damn car and get my money back. How could you even think I would do something like that? Have I ever given you any reason to think I was unfaithful to you?" Gwen demanded loudly. "Don't try to fool me," Bill replied. "You lied to me. You said you were at that company meeting in Syracuse, and this guy said he screwed a beautiful blonde with your name. We all know that you and Teresa are undoubtedly the most beautiful women at Wegmans, or anywhere else for that matter, and you're both blonde. I know for a fact that you're a wildcat in bed, so why should I doubt what he told us?" "Wow. You're right, Bill. Now I see why you made that wrong assumption. Do you really think Teresa and I look great together?" "I'm a wildcat?" Gwen asked. "I guess I should apologize to you for my little white lie and for being surprised that you jumped to conclusions." Now, I was trying to throw up my breakfast. I was overcome by dry heaves that seemed even more painful. I could hear Teresa crying as she rubbed my shoulders. The part of my brain that was still working thought about how blind I had been. Teresa really was a gorgeous and wonderful wife. I should have paid more attention to what she was doing and who she was doing it with. I should have loved that bitch even more. I realized that even though I was trying to put myself in Bill's shoes when he thought his wife was cheating on him, I had no idea how much it hurt him, not until now. "I don't know how to tell you the rest of the story," Gwen ventured, "so I think I'll let Teresa finish." "Tom, listen to me, honey. I'm sorry I lied to you, and I'm truly sorry for that, but I would never, ever cheat on you. I love you with all my heart," Teresa sobbed. Gwen didn't get to finish her story. I didn't go to Syracuse in her place. I turned down her offer. Instead, I went with her to Monticello to pick up Bill's car. Gwen convinced a new colleague, Jessica Walters, to take her place. She had just transferred from Buffalo after a terrible divorce. She's blonde, but I don't think she's as sexy as Gwen or me. My stomach immediately relaxed. I spat out all the bits I could find in my mouth and slowly got to my feet. Teresa stood next to me, wringing her hands and trying to smile through her tears. I had never seen her so beautiful and desirable. My breathing gradually slowed to normal as I wiped my eyes and mouth with the back of my hand. "I bought you that new set of Nike golf clubs you've been admiring all year, Tom. I was going to wait until your birthday next week to give them to you, but I'll try to earn some forgiveness here and now. They're in the trunk of my car. Would you like to see them, dear?" Teresa asked nervously. "They can wait a few minutes, Teresa," I replied calmly. "I must have eaten some bad seafood for dinner, but I'm feeling better now. I never thought that jerk Jack was talking about you. I know you too well to think that. I have no idea why Bill suggested it in the first place. My stomach is giving me some trouble and everyone is jumping to conclusions. It seems like there's too much going on for my poor stomach." "Yeah, right," Bill laughed. "You didn't eat fish for dinner, you jerk. It was a first-class rib and I ate the same thing you did. You didn't eat anything like that." "No?" I asked. Wasn't I standing right next to you when you almost threw up your guts at that bus stop? There was something inside us that didn't feel right. I would guess that the idea of staying married to a cheater is what doesn't feel right to either of you, Gwen laughed. Are you guys hungry since your stomachs are empty? Not me. It's almost dark. I'm going for a drive in my new car, topless, so to speak, Bill grinned. Anyone want to join me? I'd love to, Gwen laughed, quickly stepping through the door and plopping down in the passenger seat while Bill got behind the wheel. If you two aren't coming with us, we'll see you later, but you'll regret missing the first race, Gwen promised. I stood next to Teresa and watched as Bill shifted the gear lever in search of reverse, then slowly released the clutch. Gwen's shirt landed at our feet before Bill had made a move. Wow, look at Gwen, Teresa gasped. I'm looking, and I have to admit, Bill was right about both things. You really do have better breasts than Gwen, I confessed, as Teresa wrapped her arms around my neck and whispered in my ear. The back seat is empty and we've been invited.